What is up, Facebook world? This is Kimberly and Conor Tracy over here at Big Red SEO for episode 111, 111th episode. I just want to say how exciting that we're doing that. Like, talk about consistency, right? But then in addition to it, when we first started this, we were like, hey, let's just do a couple videos, a couple weeks. But to be at 111 episode, that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Isn't it cool?
Yeah, a little frustrating on the starting of things. Device not lining up, and
it seems to be a rhythm with technology. So
and once again, this week
we are learning.
Facebook. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but Facebook has changed their full interface. I'm on the new interface.
Yeah,
you're on the old interface still.
Hopefully, it stays that way. I got to be honest. Like I do good at being new. Like, so just a side note, right? Because it's just kind of who we are. The last time I upgraded my cell phone, I actually did not resist it as much as I normally have in the past. And that upgrade actually went quite well. And I think I actually got a free phone out of it as well. So I think that was I was like, okay, no big deal. I'll just do this new phone. I'm not that way when it comes to like Facebook preferences or if like we use a project management software and they actually keep updating things. And then I have the old interface, but you have the new interface, which he's absolutely in love with it. It has like icons and you can go into shortcuts and do all these things. And my personality over here is like, no, my system was working fine, y'all. Right. Like, don't go and move my cheese. Like,
yeah, there's a couple new features in it. So we use a project management called Acelo. And there's a handful of new features in it that I actually do like.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with what existed. And that's the other, programmers like to build on top of things that they have.
Yeah.
And that leads right into where we are today.
Where we're at today.
Plugins.
Yeah.
WordPress plugins in particular. Every time a new plugin comes out or a new update comes out, it's usually a bug fix and maybe another feature.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, it's a feature that you never asked for.
Never asked for. Yep.
And probably not even a feature that you would ever use. Because if it's already working, generally you don't need that extra feature.
Right.
Now, there are certain plugins where, they add new features. I dealt with one the other day, 2 days ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
3 days ago. It was an abandoned cart plugin. And they added in a new feature to be able to modify the email that gets sent out to people. And that was something that I had actually requested about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's finally in the plugin. So, awesome from that end.
Right.
But then you just get other ones where they change the interface to purple.
Right.
It's like, you don't need an update for that. So
you don't need it. So the thing about plugins, right, guys? So if you're very new to WordPress, even if you've never heard of WordPress, welcome to our group. It's what we do. We absolutely love WordPress. There's some conflicting information on what is the best platform out there. So really quickly to clean this up, guys, like we have designed in pretty much anything. When it comes to shopping carts, not so much, right? Like we are very much WordPress and shopping carts. But the reason why we actually chose to become exclusive in WordPress about 2 years ago was we were like, it already has the stamp of approval from the search engines, Google specifically. Like when we talk search engines, it's all right, but the 900-pound gorilla is Google. So it already has a stamp of approval. Plus, WordPress allows the ability for multiple different functionalities based on where is your business. Like you might just need a very simple website, not a whole lot of bells and whistles. Cool. WordPress can handle you there. You might have a website that's completely custom and we have one client that does online courses and she has specific things that she needs to have represented in those courses in specific privacies and not privacies. And when does it show? When does it not show? When does it follow up? When does it not follow up?
And even certificates when the course is complete.
Yep.
Because it's a state-run issue. They have to provide that information that I completed this particular course.
And it sends automatic because she doesn't have a whole lot of time on her hands to be able to do it. So the system and the machine does it. So you can take a very simplistic website in WordPress, or you can do tons of bells and whistles. And you actually use a terminology quite often that says you can have anything. The question is how many zeros you want to put behind it. Yep. So that's the cool thing about WordPress in general. And the end user can still update it, which is super awesome.
And I think even from that end, I mean, you could use React. You could build a whole website in JavaScript.
Yeah.
You can build a website in HTML.
Yeah.
If you have a basic website, HTML might be all you ever need. If you're not updating things and there's no blog posts and there's no regular content updates and you don't need to change things, HTML works perfect for that. But
yeah,
if you're not updating things in your website, you're not getting any SEO value, which then goes against everything that we
I will say we actually use that in our own personal brands, meaning my personal website for the soul coaching and so forth. We actually tested for a while and just did HTML to see, does it speed up for speed? And it did for quite a while. And then WordPress caught up with HTML speed, right? Because like that's the thing, is speed is the number one indicator in ranking a website. Yeah, there's other stuff, and speed, like focusing on the speed's not going to get you ranked, right? But it is a huge influencer in the signal for that. But to circle it all the way back around with WordPress as well as plugins, right? Because we're talking about plugins today. The thing with WordPress is plugins allow you to have multiple different features and functionalities, but let's take a step back. And you have to realize that the plugins are actually created by external developers, right? So what that means is somebody like Conor thought up a great idea sitting on the back of the patio with a cigar and a whiskey and said, hey, if I was to create something, what would I create? Oh, okay, I could do this and it could save people time, right? So it adds value. It could save people time. It could be a great resource. He goes in and he codes it, he creates it, right? And boom, there's a plugin. Now, there are bigger companies that actually do plugins as well. There's actually app companies that do plugins as well. But in general, there's typically a developer or a developer team in the background that are actually the ones that create the plugin functionality. It is not WordPress itself, unless it's already a plugin from WordPress, which would be built into the system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, WordPress does have, so WordPress operates under automatic or automated or something like that is their thing. You can tell how often I look at the byline credits, right? But if it's something that WordPress is going to put in as a core item, then it goes into the main WordPress part. Gutenberg, for example, which was the page builder, for a long time that was a plugin made by WordPress. It was a plugin that bolts on,
right?
Because they were still in testing and still in beta. Once it became part of the general scope of things, then that became built into the WordPress core itself. And now, whether you want to use Gutenberg or not, it's in WordPress. Now, the whole thing about WordPress is that it all runs on if, then, else type commands.
Yep.
So if this exists, then do this, otherwise do that. So we don't use Gutenberg in any of the websites that we build. So the whole if, then, else section for Gutenberg is completely skipped. So it doesn't cause any major resource load or anything like that when building out the website or when displaying the website. It doesn't have to take those commands into account.
Yeah, and so the thought process with the developers and the plugins, right? You guys need to know this information because we have so many people come back to us and be like, what are plugins? What are plugin updates? Why do I need them, right? So the thought in theory is, okay, you have a plugin. It was created by a developer. They actually go through and they enhance the plugin. So at the very beginning, Conor talked about that. They go in and they enhance it. They try to make it a little bit better. Maybe they have somebody, again, like Conor, that's like, hey, I was testing your plugin or I installed your plugin for a client. They actually had this request to customize this area. I don't have permission or access to do that. Can you build this into the next release? So believe it or not, a lot of developers are open to feedback because they want people to actually install their plugin. Now I'm going to hit a pause button here just for a second. There are specific developers that actually will request for donations because, guys, the people that create these don't make money off of them, right? Like that's something really, really important to know, unless there's a pro version. So the free version of the plugin is actually free. Now they might say, hey, do you love this plugin? Go donate. Or hey, do you love this plugin? Go rate us, right? Because the rating gets them more people to actually go and install it. So really quickly, I want to explain that if you're utilizing a plugin, free or pro, and you absolutely love it, go share some love with the developers, right? It means the world to them. And even if it's not giving them money, maybe you're not like comfortable with that. That's okay. A thank you or a rating helps them tremendously.
Yep.
That was very one thing for me. Like Conor will be like, do we want to donate? And I was like, fuck yes. We use that. We invest in it. We have our clients use it. Put some food on the table for these people because they created this and the functionality is awesome. So that's my preach to the home as a developer myself. Even if you just go say thank you or rate them in the scale of the plugin, cool, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to back it up.
So before you go forward, a couple of quick shout outs. Brian has joined us. Hello, Fiona. Fiona is here, Ron, and also Josh. Hey, guys.
Hey, I love to have you guys here. I'm on a roll here. I'm like, don't you interrupt me, Conor, Tracy. Okay, so you have your developers. The developers are going in and they're actually adding enhancements, right? They're putting stuff in. They're shifting things around. They're getting feedback from people like Conor. There's like, hey, this client wishes that there was this information or that there was this functionality. In most cases, they'll say, yes, we'll roll it in, or hey, we've got it on the list. They're more likely trying to research and figure out how to go about doing it. And here's the secret you guys need to know. This doesn't happen on all plugins, but a lot of times Conor goes and asks for enhancements in plugins. They'll say, yes, we'll add that to the list, but we're not sure. And then Conor will give them the code or the step process to say, hey, I was out on the back patio with a cigar and whiskey. Here's what I came up with. See if this works, use whatever you want. In most cases, they're like, yes, that's it. They implement it, boom, bada bing. Or you now have a developer and an actual website designer that are enhancing it for the clientele as well.
Yeah, and sometimes, with the code end of things, sometimes my starting point of the code is not the finished. It's the theory behind it. It's the, hey, we should do this, this, and this for the checks. But then they rewrite it the way it actually needs to be done. And I've got communication with different developers and different programmers and dev teams over the years. And even with the project management software we use, I've got things that have been on the roadmap since 2014 and 2015. These are things I want to see. I want to be able to prioritize tasks. I want to be able to rename tasks and move them without losing the time that's associated with it. So those are enhancements, and they are on the list of things to do, but there's other priorities, and that's really how the roadmaps all work.
Right.
With the WordPress plugins, it's always interesting because you do have people that are going to continue to develop it, and a lot of times the plugins are put out. Basically, it's a community version. So as programmers, we have direct access to the code, so we can enhance it the way we need to. The downside is that if a programmer or a developer hasn't updated their plugin on a regular basis, there are exploits that just creep up over time. So the old version of PHP, 5.4, things could work perfect in there and no problem. Well, now we're using 7.4, 7.3 or 7.4. Things have been depreciated. Things have been removed from the code to make it streamlined, so some plugins won't work. Things have been added in a way, cross-site scripting and things like that. And I'm getting a little geeky on things, but I've got geeky people in my phone, so, here we go. But there's things like that get added in that can potentially be an exploit. And those are the updates that need to happen more frequently than anything else. The big problem with WordPress is that you do have developers like myself, as Kim said. I might make a plugin, I upload it for what it is I need, and then I move on with my life and I don't update that plugin any further. Maybe I'm not developing that site and I don't need that plugin. Mm-hmm. So a year, 2 years goes by, 3 years goes by. Suddenly there's an exploit available for it, and me as a developer, so that seems to happen quite a bit in the community plugin. And of course, the de facto answer from everybody is, well, it was free. What did you expect? Which is not the answer I like to hear.
That's not the one we want to know, right?
But if they're not going to develop something, a lot of programmers will release it to general public or allow you to fork it or branch it so that you can continue development of it.
Yeah, so here's the deal. The reason why we wanted to bring this subject to you guys, like, I think I asked Connor, I'm like, let's talk plugin updates. When was the last time we talked about it? And I think the video was back in February.
Yeah.
So sorry for that, guys. Like, we have a lot of things that we like to talk about, right? But we get asked and we get contacted a lot from people that are in WordPress and they just don't understand like what's needed, what's not needed. So again, with websites in general, you want to make sure that your code is as clean as possible. Your website is fast as possible. But then if you have plugins, you want them to be the most recent update, right? Now, the caveat with this, which Connor can talk more about, is that sometimes the plugin updates or the plugins, you actually don't need the functionality. So you might decide to skip it. And or here's the deal. Before you do any plugin updates in your website, make a backup.
Required.
Make a backup, right?
Another one.
A backup.
Make two.
Make so many backups that you like, your computer is filled with backups. We say that and we're being sarcastic with that because people don't fucking make a backup. Make a backup before you update anything in your website. In most cases, plugins getting updated, there's not a problem, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't know what's going on in the background. You don't know how long you haven't updated your website. You don't know if you click yes, do you want to delete your entire website? And you click yes because you're not reading it because you're caffeined up. You don't know what's going on, right? So always make a backup. In most cases, the end user, the owner, can update their plugins and there not be a conflict. But if your website has been customized by a designer or a developer, right, and or you have gone and customized your code itself, you do need to make a backup and you need to test the plugins before you actually put them updated on your website, which that means you need to create a separate section or hire people like us or a professional like us to create an environment where you can test the functionality versus just clicking update and then everything's gone.
Fingers crossed it works.
I will not tell you how many calls that we've gotten from clients or emails of, I clicked update and the shit's gone, right?
Like, of course, my usual question is, well, what plugin did you update? And the answer is all of them.
All of them at once. So they just go click, 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 click
it's
all the way through.
It's a little harder to track down where the problem is. The backup is going to save your ass so you can get back and then figure that out. But there are some hosting companies. So some of the premium hosting companies, they offer a staging environment. It's generally free. It just depends on the company you're working with. But with the click of a button, you can move an entire copy of the website into a staging environment, run all your tests, see what happens, and then you get two choices. You can push it to the live, so moving everything over back to the live again, or redo it. I normally redo it manually on the live site. I don't like pushing things. Some things in the database might get overwritten, and it's not what I want to do. So when I do my updates, plugin updates, things like that, as Kim said, we move it to a staging environment. We then update each one of the plugins individually to make sure, and then test the website to make sure there's no conflicts. And then if everything has the approval, then redo that on the live site. As Kim said, some plugins, they're minor revision updates, so they really don't, they're not a problem to update for the most part. There's some that's a major jump, or some where the entire functionality has changed. With every plugin that comes out, there's a README file or a change log that tells you what's all been changed. Usually programmers are good about documenting what's been changed. But with that, you have to read through, make sure nothing out of that conflicts with what you have in your system as it is. And then kind of go from there.
So y'all are super funny. About? I'm smiling at Jason. Jason, hello. So it's funny. I'm here and I know that Connor's like, I've got all these peeps in and it's technical peeps and da-da-da. And I'm staring at the screen and I'm inviting people into the Facebook Live, but I don't see any comments. And I'm like, how come he sees comments and I don't? Well, first off, this episode started off really jacked up, so I'll just state that. So then I loaded on my cell phone. I'm like, oh, there's like a whole conversation here. So, hey, Josh, love to see you. Brian, love seeing you. Casey's attended as well. So, hello, funny. Connor having a cigar during the Facebook Live, I'm down for that, but it can't happen in the house. So we would have to create an outdoor live environment. I'm not opposed to it, but it took a lot to get this environment.
True.
But in addition to that, we actually have a new lighting system on top this week, right? So it's been quite interesting in all of that. And he does have a jacket. So the thing is like we've been together almost 12 years, right? And so he smoked cigars since I don't even know when, a long time ago.
A long time.
And as I get more intuitive and enhanced, I get more sensitive to the energy, especially the cigar smoke. And so he has specific jackets and they go in specific particular areas of the house. So if you guys actually got it behind the scene, you'd be like, oh, Kim, she's OCD. No, I just trap the smoke where I can. And so we would definitely have to do outdoor, and we actually might have to do separated a little further. So that whole panning of the videos back and forth.
If I can get you on the other side of me, then
it never goes that way.
Off to the right,
he's so sweet. He's such a chivalrous guy. He's like, I don't want smoke to go in your face. So he'll try to walk on the opposite side of me. And just the universe being the universe, the wind blows the exact way. He's trying to prevent it, and then the wind blows, and he's like, well, fuck it. I can't stop the cigarette smoke. So
Josh said, I think you started cigars in high school.
Yeah.
You're not far off.
Probably. So here's the deal, guys, just to circle all the way back around. If you guys don't actually do your own plugin updates or have a monthly subscription, quarterly subscription with a developer to do it, we highly recommend it.
Yep.
So here, I'm going to dive into it, but I don't want to stay too far into this because it's not the love and light area, right? I will let you know that there are people out there that are they're actually doing it. They're compromising websites left and right, more now than ever, right? A lot more companies are going virtual, a lot more companies are going online, and that creates the environment of people wanting to go in and have some fun in websites where they actually should not belong, nor should they be there. However, we can't stop all of that, right? But what we can do is we can actually prevent it from happening in the first place. And the first area to start is making plugin updates, right? Keeping the plugins updated at the most current. The second area to be proactive with that is to follow this guy on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. As soon as a plugin is compromised or there is a chance there's bumps on the ground about to come out, he actually will go out and research it and figure out all the stuff and the details before to figure out, is it a serious compromise? Is it not? Can we patch it before it even happens? How do we go about that?
And that's for select plugins. Of course, I don't deal with, the 200,000 different plugins that exist, but the ones that have
that we use
a lot of popularity, or ones that we use on a regular basis.
Or it's one, I forgot what the plugin is. We checked our system and we've never utilized it, but it's actually a really popular plugin.
Revolution Slider.
Yeah.
Every time.
We had some clients that had that though. There was a whole nother side note. There was a whole nother plugin that we've never installed anywhere, right? That you went chasing down the rabbit hole to figure out, hey, where is the stuff? So
I've done that a few times.
But yeah, so if you guys don't have a management system or do it. If you take anything from this message, guys, anything at all, make a fucking backup of your website. We cannot tell you how many times people don't do that. If you need help with that, let us know. You have YouTube videos showing you how to do it on certain web hosting companies. Yep. We have people that run web hosting companies that can do it for you. Like, just make a backup of your website and don't just leave it at the hosting account, right? Get an external jump drive, hard drive, whatever kind of drive, and put it on that as well. So that way, if something happens to technology, a hosting company goes MIA, which for us, we experienced less than 2 years ago, you actually have your design, you have the backup of your design, and you're good to go.
So, shameless plug, if you need plugin updates or you need backups and stuff done, that's stuff that we do. So contact us. We'll give you pricing and kind of walk you through all of that.
And we actually have a monthly maintenance plan, or you can do a one-time as well. For sure. And it's what we're good at, but that's not the intention of today's episode. Today's episode is teaching you what is plugins, what's important, what's not important, the parts that developers won't tell you. So if you engage a website designer, right? We were just talking about this morning. If you engage a website designer and they put together a website for you, they're more than likely not going to tell you what plugins to do and how to update it. So they might actually tell you, hey, this is how often you need to do it. You might be intuitive enough to have that conversation. But if not, you need to go in and actually research what are the plugins that they're using. And if you decide to no longer use a plugin, you need to uninstall that plugin from your website. Don't just deactivate it, right? It's so common for people to go out and test all these plugins and be like, okay, this is super cool. There'll be like 3 calendars and 2 shopping carts and all this stuff. And they think deactivate of the plugin is enough. It's not enough. Deactivate just shuts it off in the website, but the code is still live and active inside your environment. And even if it's deactivated, it's within your environment of your website. There might be 4 releases, and then that's how those individuals come in and compromise that plugin, because you don't even realize what's going on, right? And when a website is compromised, usually, I don't want to say the H word, but I'll say it once. Usually when a website has been hacked, they don't take over the website immediately, right? They lay dormant for a while. There's a reason behind that. We're not going to get into that right now, but they lay dormant for a while. So a lot of times the end users on the outside don't know what's happening. The business owner doesn't know what's happening. If you have somebody monitoring your website like Conor does, he will know something happened. But they lay dormant for a while, and then they go wreak havoc like crazy. A lot of times people don't know until it's too late. So keep their plugins updated as often as possible. And that's pretty much it, guys. Anything else?
Be aware that on some plugin deactivation or on deleting, they do delete software, or they delete the code out of the website. Sometimes when a plugin is deactivated or deleted, that code still remains even though the plugin has been deleted. Yoast, for example, is kind of really popular with that, in that you'll delete it, but those titles, meta descriptions, the different schema markups that you've added in, that all remains in the database. And when you install Yoast again, all that stuff reappears. So it's good and bad, but in a lot of cases with plugins that you want to get rid of, it's bad. You need to actually select the box that says delete all previous content. So just be aware of that on the back end. But as Kim said, make a backup. Watch last week's video on WordFence.
I feel like we need t-shirts saying make a backup. So watch last week's episode or any of our other 110 episodes, y'all. Thank you so much if you're watching live. We appreciate the support. If you're watching the replay, awesome to have you guys here. Like, comment, share. We create these for you guys specifically. All of y'all. But in the meantime, we will be back next Friday at 1 p.m.-ish. We're going to do Irish time and see how that rolls. But in the meantime, have a fantastic holiday weekend, or just a weekend in general if you don't celebrate the holiday, either way. And thank you so much for all you do.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day now. Thank you. Bye-bye.